Welcome. I'm Rosie and this is my second YouTube, and as I said in my first YouTube, I've set up YouTube to talk about what I do and just be as honest as I can be, and in that honesty it may help someone. And so what I want to talk about in this YouTube is shame, and I want to talk about shame and embarrassment and something very personal that happened to me last week on the 10th or 11th of July 2019. Just putting that as a reference just in case you're watching this at another time, and for myself really, because it was quite a major thing for me personally, that what happened. So I want to share this with YouTube and whoever wants to watch it. If you don't want to watch it, absolutely fine, just switch off. If you do, great. But what I'm going to share, because remember, it's all, this is what I want to talk about: shame, embarrassment, bottling up your feelings, and how it can create quite drastic things that I've experienced. What I'm about to share may trigger someone or trigger you or into worrying about me, or it may, well yeah, it may make you worry, it may make you feel well, it may trigger something. So if it does, I'm sorry, but if you feel that, then please don't worry. And if you can switch off if you like. This is the thing, I don't mind. This is me expressing myself. So please don't pity me or worry, because that is not what this is about. This is for me to express what happened, and in doing that, it might help someone else, and that is the reason why I'm doing this, to help people, because I'm a healer, and that's what I feel the need. I want to be here for people. So I mentioned in my last YouTube that I occasionally feel suicidal. Now, basically, I'm doing a lot of work on myself. I see a therapist. My partner and I do a lot of therapy sessions. I give him spiritual sessions where I channel for him, and we look at past belief systems, and we do this on a daily basis, and then that can trigger my stuff as well, and I work on myself, doing meditations and my own therapy on myself. Now what happened to me last week, I was triggered, basically, not from a session that I was doing with my partner, but with a few things, small things that when you think of them, when you talk about them, they seem quite minor, but some things that got built up, and basically it meant that I got to a place where I really wanted to commit suicide, and it was so bad that in the early hours of the morning I was going to drive my car, and I was just going to go somewhere and just jump off a cliff or something, and my partner had to phone the police because he didn't want to restrain me if he's not allowed, but he did not want me to go. He was trying to stop me, but I just was in this place where it was the only thing left. I was in so much pain. I'd gone beyond anything. When people say, oh, take a bath, go to bed. No, that was just beyond me. I was just gone. I wanted to end it. I didn't want to be here anymore. But because, so this was about 4:30, 5 o'clock on Thursday morning last week. And he said, well, I don't want to be up for assisted suicide. What happened, because he's beginning to get into a state of panic because I'm saying I'm going to top myself, and I literally just don't want to be here anymore. And he doesn't know what to do, so he phones the police. And I say to him, I don't want him to be accused of anything. I don't want my death to be on him at all. It's my responsibility. My life is my responsibility. I don't want anyone else accountable for it. So I sat out here outside, there's a step just there, and I sat outside there while he phoned the police, because he just asked me to wait. And I did think, okay, I'll just wait, because I was in such a crazy place in my mind. And I just sat outside, and I hadn't had hardly any sleep. I was just in a really strange place, and the sun was coming up. I was looking at the birds were tweeting. I was watching a bird dot around the garden, and I just went into a really strange place where I felt like I wasn't anything, and I was connecting with all the tiny atoms, the tiny molecules, the grass, the soil, everything, the sounds, everything was just like I was it. And it was almost like I had died, in a sense. I wasn't me in this body. I was just having this really strange experience. Anyway, he got off the phone to the police, and they were told him to ring the crisis team, and then I was still having this experience. And then he came. I didn't want to speak to anyone. He tried to say, speak to these people, and I was like, no. But by this time, I had the dire, dark, desperate pain that was causing me to push me to this place had eased. I was in some form of shock, some weird mental place, but that had eased. So he came and he said, what do you want to do? Because the police was saying if I did drive off, then he could stop me, and they would come. And because that eased, I said, I'll just come in, and he made me a cup of tea, and we sat down, and I channeled, because actually I felt like I could connect with this energy, and I think I channeled God. And actually what happened, it made me feel a lot more grounded, because the energy when I channel helps me connect to a greater power, and more than what it's just amazing when I can do it. And actually gave me some indication about why I was going through this awfulness. And then I was able to go to bed. So it was quite a dramatic time for both of us, and we told Marcus's children, because they came round the next day, and I'm feeling more inclined to just, to be honest, I have suicidal thoughts, fleeting thoughts really, more on a weekly basis, not necessarily daily, but weekly for sure. And only about 2 or 3 times in my whole life has it got to that bad. And when I was with my ex-partner, who I was with for 10 years, I lived with him in Bristol in Western-super-Mare, he nearly called the police once when I got really bad, and that was one time with him. So basically I struggle with this. I've worked out, I remember being 17 thinking about topping myself, but not to the point where I was actually going to do it. It's just more life's shit, and I just don't want to be here anymore. And then I feel told my therapist about this. She's told her mentors, because she has to protect herself, and Marcus and I are going to the doctors together because he has to protect himself. So we're dealing with this as a real issue, and that's why I'm doing this, because it's not just a problem within me. I've done a lot of research, and suicide kills a lot of people. In fact, in 2016, it killed more people, according to the World Health Organization, and a book I'm actually reading. It killed more people than heart disease, and I think it was near to killing more people than cancer, actually. And according to the World Health Organization, it kills over 800,000 people. That's nearly 1 million people a year across the world die of suicide. And it's the biggest killer in men under 35, and actually women as well, between under 29 actually. So this is a real issue across the world, and that's what I'm dealing with. And I've done a lot of research with this, because when I'm like this, in a rational place, grounded, and able to talk about it as if it's almost happened to someone else, I want to live. I want to carry on. I feel like I've got a purpose, and I feel I have passion about life. So I've realised that I have, it's almost like a double side to myself, and it can be really small triggers that can trigger that catastrophic thoughts, and it can be it's more or less, most of the time, like I said, it's fleeting. If something crap happens in the day or whatever, I just have a fleeting thought of like, oh, I'll just kill myself. It's like it's always there, an escape, and then obviously it can overwhelm me, and it can go. But most of the time, it's just a small thought, which I know that I have to deal with those small thoughts as well, which is what I want to talk about in this video, to do with positivity. So the thing is that I've done a lot of research, and there's a YouTuber called Teal Swan, and she's you can look her up if you like. I find her quite inspiring, and she talks about suicide. She's tried to commit suicide, and she said, and this made a lot of sense to me, you have to treat yourself like you have a terminal illness. So as does a cancer patient, if they need to rest because they've had a day of chemo, they rest, and no one judges them for it because they've got cancer. That's the same way I need to treat myself. Or if you are watching this and you have suicidal thoughts, you need to treat yourself like that. You need to treat yourself as though you've got a terminal illness, because if you don't take care of yourself emotionally and mentally, you could do it. And it is devastating for the people that you leave behind, because you have a purpose. We all have a purpose, and we all have the right to life and to enjoy our life. And this is why I'm talking about it on here, because I want, loneliness is one of the biggest things that I find in my experience, and the research I've done shows that loneliness is one of the key factors that leads to suicidal thoughts. And I'm saying this because I want to be brave. I want to be raw. I want to say, yeah, I struggle. And I want people to know they are not alone if they struggle too. I want to reach out to everyone out there who is struggling with negative thoughts, whatever you're struggling with, and say you're not alone, because just having the thought that there is someone else who feels just as desperately hopeless and lonely as you may help you in a place where I was last week, where I nearly didn't make it here. So I really want to have that message for this video, because I have a passion for life now, and I have a passion to save myself. I realised that you can't save anybody. There was no one that I wanted to speak to when I was in that dark place. No one. I did not want to go to any. I wanted to be alone, and I wanted to die. So it is really difficult. I know if you're struggling, sometimes you're like, no, I don't want. I can't deal with that. So that I just want to make it clear that you're never alone. But another point I want to make is about shame. So we all have a shame is a massive thing in our culture, in our society. And I remember being a kid and feeling deeply ashamed if I cried at school because I was upset, and I would just bottle it up because I just did not want anyone to see me crying. Because if you cry, I mean, who has this? Who remembers being at school and feeling like if you cried, you could be picked on by the other kids or whatever, or you would look like, you look really weak for crying. And this is the thing in our culture, we have this thing about our emotions, that if we show our emotions too much in a negative way, we feel ashamed about it. It's like I used to feel really ashamed about talking about this feeling I had where I don't want to be here anymore. And that the thing is, if I don't talk about it, it's not going to go away. It's going to, if you just, and that is another thing, sorry if I'm dotting around here. If you try and focus on let's focus on the positive, look at all the good things in your life. Yeah, that is good, that does work, and I'm not saying it doesn't work or it doesn't help, but that to be positive, there has to be a negative. To be light, there has to be dark. It's the same principle. So if you just focus on the positive, then what happens to the negative? So that's the same thing with the shame and emotions. If we're feeling ashamed of our negative emotions because we're crying and we can't show that, what happens to that if you just all you can show is positive, being positive, because people don't want to be around sad people don't want to be around depressed people. What happens to those emotions? Because I tell you what, it's all in us. It is all in us. Just, you have to have all of the emotions to be happy. You have to have everything. So what happens to it? Do you know what happens? And that's why suicide is one of the biggest killers. Is it boils up so much so that people end up topping themselves, or it makes you ill. Stress scientifically has been proven to lower your immune system. So if you're bottling up your negative emotions or your sad emotions because you're afraid appearing weak or it affecting someone else, you're going to make yourself ill. If you don't kill yourself, you will make yourself physically ill, and that is a scientific fact. So my pledge for anyone who's watching this: speak to people. Don't be afraid. This is why I'm talking about these dark emotions, because I want people to you know, with me, I think I've got memories of my childhood where, you know, my parents did their best for me, but that sometimes they didn't want me to be upset. So I think possibly, you know, some parents do this, whatever, and I feel that sometimes I do cry quite a lot, but I feel embarrassed or ashamed to really talk. I want to be positive around people because I don't want to feel like an outcast, because I've got all this shit going on inside of me. And if that's you, if you have that similar thing, talk to someone, or even just video yourself. But you know what? That's the thing. It helps. It really helps. It helps you process it in your mind. It helps you express yourself. And we all feel that. I feel that I suppose in our culture and society we have this thing with shame. And I'm wearing a top with my midriff, and I want to show you. Look, I've got my belly button pierced. Now, if you can see, it's got a bit sore. I got this done 3 months ago, and it should, you know, all the work I do, I realise that you hold shame around your stomach, and you know, I want to feel proud of my stomach. I don't want to feel, look, this is my stomach, like out, like I'm not holding it in, it's just out. And look at this skirt. I have lost a bit of weight, so it's a bit loose, but basically that minor infection is, I believe, is a physical representation of me holding on to stuff because I didn't want to be as like admitting how much sometimes I really don't want to be here. I feel ashamed because I think I'm fit and healthy. I can go for a run whenever I want. I can drive. I've got loads of positive things in my life. And there's some people out there who, you know, they can't walk. They haven't got money for food, loads of things. And you know, when you're having a crap day, like me, I feel ashamed that I feel that bad. But you're allowed to feel bad. You're human. We're all human. We're all allowed to have these dark days. And remember, the darkness has to be there because otherwise the light isn't there. So I want you to all think about that. And I was going to talk about some of the things that well, you see, what I want to talk. I'll be honest. I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to do it because we're all free. Freedom of Speech Act 1998 means that we have the freedom of speech. Okay, so I feel judged by people, and if you're judging me right now, then that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and judge me, do whatever. But you know, just remember, I'm leaving this message with love. Okay, so if it triggers you, it's your stuff. And but I'm going to say something that this may offend people. Okay, if you get offended easily, then switch off now. And this is what I'm about to say. Okay. I'm about to talk about periods and women's menstrual cycle, and it's how it links to shame. Because women, I mean, I still sometimes, when I buy a packet of sanitary towels or tampons, whatever, I still feel ashamed, even if it's a woman. Like, I have a little bit of like pang of like, ooh, you know, they know I'm on my period or whatever. Why do we have this? Why are women so ashamed of their periods? You know, the human race would not be here if it wasn't for a frigging period, okay? So we need to embrace the period. Now, I saw this YouTuber, this was about 2 years, year and a half, 2 years ago, and she was, you can type it in Google or YouTube or Facebook, woman who eats her period, her menstrual cycle. Now this is the thing, okay? Yeah, it sounds a bit like gross, and people are going to judge it. Judge it. Alright, if you're a woman, you have a period, it comes out of you. It's got so many nutrients in it. So I was listening to this woman and she looked really inspiring. And yeah, I tried my own period. And do you know what? It's about embracing all of yourself, because this is the thing, we separate ourselves from everything. Like, oh, it's period, oh, it's disgusting. Like, because men, like some men, hate period. My ex used to hate having sex with me on my period because he was a firefighter and he used to see blood and he used to think, ugh. No, hello, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your mother having a period. That's the thing. I don't want to be, I'm just going to be free because. So basically, I was all clean down there. I was in the bath and just tried some period. And yeah, it's fine. It just tastes like blood when you cut your finger. And you know what? It's really empowering because you know, I told a couple of my friends and they're like, and I know whoever's watching this is going to think I'm nuts or, you know, whatever, but I'm just being honest. I'm just trying to encourage people who, you know, we all have these crazy thoughts, and occasionally, sometimes, if I'm on my period, I might try a bit. That's, you know what, it's part of our life, and if you look it up, a period has got so many nutrients in it, and it's a part of you as a woman, and you are connecting with all of yourself instead of separating yourself out as disgusting. So think about that. That's linked to shame. If you're carrying any extra stuff around here, whatever, I've got so much shame in me. So you think about what you're ashamed of in your life. So I'm sorry if it's a bit raw, but that's me. I am a bit crazy, and I'm very compassionate. I love a lot of people. I love everyone, actually. I think everyone is us, but I'm also a little bit crazy. So I love you all. If you've watched to the end, thank you for watching. Sorry if I've offended anyone, if I've triggered you, but remember, I want to be alive, okay, and this is why I'm doing it, and I want to be brave. So I'm encouraging all of you to be alive, be brave,